Welcome everyone. This is Debbie Mayberry with National Kitchen and Bath Association. You're here for our second webinar of the month on storage design trends. Today's session is called Impress Your Clients with Custom-Made Closets. And Molly Braun and Sherwin Keeley are here from Perfect Fit Closets. And we're now ready to roll. Thank you so very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. Thank you to NKBA and Debbie for inviting us to be a presenter. This custom closet presentation has been brought to you by Headache, our sponsor, and Perfect Fit Closets. We are a Canadian-owned and operated custom closet distributor. We can cater to many spaces of the home, including but not limited to closets, pantry, mudroom, office, and more. My name is Molly Braun, and I'm one of your presenters today. My co-presenter, Sherwin, will also be joining us. Go ahead, Sherwin, and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Melanie. My name is Sherwin Keeley, and I'm the North American Dealer Sales Manager with Perfect Fit Closets. I've been in the manufacturing for a large portion of my professional background, and I have gravitated towards closets for several years, and I enjoy helping others with the art of organization. Thank you, Melanie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Today, we want to focus on educating you further with the following topics: the need for closets, the current industry practices and offerings, components that help make the custom closet, the design process, how to price your projects, and how our industry pays for the designers and installers. At the end, we will do a Q&A session, as Debbie mentioned. So let's dive in, folks. Luxury versus necessity. I have done projects in all sizes of homes. In new builds and older homes, more and more closets are becoming a necessity. With smaller storage footprints by builders and our hoarding nature, the end consumer needs help in this area. So our focus is to allow companies access to the right components in order to make this affordable to the end user. Anyone can offer closets. You can be in a home for an interior design consultation and add this as a service. You can be in the home renovating their kitchens and or bathroom and offer this to them as a service, all at the same time. We work with interior designers, contractors, kitchen and bathroom design shops, and businesses in this list plus others are opening their doors and offering the custom closet experience to their clients. We have seen a rise in this trend. The demographic our market caters to is mostly female, educated, single or double income household, ages 25 all the way to 65 plus. This content was pulled by myself from a platform called Alexa back in 2018. By comparing 10 different custom closet companies, the likes of California Closets and others. I would like to show you a few before and after pictures. As you can see, the product does add a significant amount of improvement to the space and of course adding value to the home all at the same time. Typically, you will see a wire shelving, as you see on the left image here, in the home, which over time may collapse due to weight restrictions. I have seen this happen many of times. Or you will see a single rod with a shelf above it if the client is lucky enough to get a shelf. The space is definitely not functioning to its full potential. And this goes to explain why the closets are a necessity and not so much a luxury. Sherwin will now take over to discuss the current industry practices and offerings. So the floor is yours, Sherwin.
Thank you so much, Melanie, on educating us on how it's human nature to keep all types of treasures. I think it's all of us need continual reminders on organizing our life. So what are the current industry practices and offerings? So let's discuss the differences between kitchen cabinets versus closets. Kitchens and closets are the same but different. Kitchens use a box system, and we all know this. Closet systems differ as we use an optional back panel. This ensures we use less material, and less material means less cost. More material means more cost. Pretty simple explanation. Custom closets use different depths and heights to cater to designated areas. Since we have all different shapes and sizes in the closet world, closet companies can offer both suspended systems and on-the-ground systems. Majority of the closet industry uses the 32mm European hole pattern to give the end user the flexibility to adjust. Hole patterns can be drilled on the inside of the modules and have a clean face on the outside modules for those areas where holes need to be hidden. So our closet components. On this slide, we have a comparison between a standard custom kitchen cabinetry to one of perfect fit closet systems. So just a standard closet system. Again, we're comparing apples to oranges, and it's the best that we can compare as best as we can. On this illustration, it shows a 78 and 7/8 inch tall by 29-inch wide modules. So we're using the box system now. Kitchens use a box system where you have a top, bottom, sides, and back, all with 3/4 inch backing and all fixed shelves as our comparison. So you can see the standard kitchen cost comparison is about roughly $2,200 US, and our closet system uses $737. So it's quite a big difference in terms of using a closet system versus a kitchen system for those significant areas. Keep with kitchens when kitchens, and use our system and other closet systems in other areas of the home. This will enable owners and designers to become more competitive in landing the sale from the end user. Owners should do their due diligence and design a closet using kitchen components and compare that to a closet manufacturer. So for instance, at Perfect Fit, we have numerous amounts of dealers who are primarily kitchen dealers, be it that they purchase kitchens from a manufacturer or they produce kitchens in-house. Regardless, the key point to take is that it takes time and money to continually change your CNC machines from cutting kitchen components to closet components. So you can imagine going back and forth, switching between kitchens to closets. This will affect more wear and tear on your machines as well as time and money. Next slide, please. So here are some of the different types of offerings that other kitchen dealers other closet dealers may offer to you. So you have such as thermally fused laminate. So again, this is known as melamine. They can offer high gloss and different profiles on the right-hand side here, as what you can see. Majority of what you sell will be the color white and a flat profile, such as your drawer fronts. Other closet companies, please make a note that they do offer a wide range. Other closet companies can offer maybe aluminum frame doors, maybe lighting packages, drawer boxes such as 5-piece drawer boxes and dovetail drawer boxes, and so forth. Now on to the next slide. So my personal favorite in the industry is laser edge banding. As Melly opens up our video, laser edge banding has been in the industry for quite some time now, and there are closet companies such as ourselves that offer laser edge banding. Laser edge banding can be applied to the closet world as seen today in the kitchen world. We at Perfect Fit, for example, from this video, you can see on the right-hand side, you can see the laser going right through the prism and now welding the 1mm edge tape right onto the substrate. And it seals it right into place. So whatever the application may be it beside a range, an oven, dishwasher, laundry, over time, traditional adhesives will begin to fail. By welding the special 1mm edge tape onto the substrate, we can sell in confidence that products can withstand environmental factors. This also helps with water resistance and helps ensure moisture doesn't seep into the substrate and balloon. Thank you, Melly. So that's one of my favorite topics to discuss. So closet components. As discussed, the closet industry offers both suspended and floor module varieties, as you can see in this illustration. Floor panels are great for instances where the end user has weight-bearing loads. Wall panel systems, such as on the far right and far left, are great for end users who wish to keep items off the floor. Maybe they have a large baseboard they like. Maybe they want to expose the floor and show off the aesthetics. Installers can find a wooden stud to help combat this. Wooden studs can have a pull force of up to 1,500 pounds. And regardless of the type of system, the closet industry recognizes that subtracting the back cap panel can help alleviate the cost. Next slide, please. So, wall modules. So the industry standards commenced by using the old French cleat system, and it has drastically evolved. We all know that walls are never perfectly straight nor plumb. So in the past, installers would have to cut and trim the backs of the components to subscribe to the wall. Well, this illustration shows the top current closet fasteners on a suspended wall closet system. So you can see that we have a hanging rail, the cover for it, and encircled here, you can see the hanging hardware mechanism, and then the cover for it, and then the two fasteners. So let's talk about this mechanism and why it has evolved from the French cleat system. Well, the mechanism, which is the hanging hardware arm, has two adjustment screws. The adjustment screw on the bottom moves the arm up and down to ensure the system is level. The screw to the left is the adjustment screw to move the arm forward and backward. This enables installers to minimize or even subtract any cutting and scribing to the wall on site. The arm serves its purpose of continually holding onto the hanging rail regardless if there's any bowing of the drywall. Imagine using this system versus the old French cleat system and having your installer spending time on scribing to the wall. It's taking more time is more money. So it's not as effective, but we can say so now in confidence by using upgraded systems, and you can start seeing these closet systems now in other manufacturers. Thank you, Melly. Next slide. So for the next 3 slides, these are just typical illustration guides of components of what other closet manufacturers will start implementing. We have basic systems, but you can see here how a horizontal and a vertical come together and come to life. Different closet systems may differ ever so slightly, but they all use the same fastener or use the same principle. They have a fastener and they have a cam locking system to it. You attach those two together, as you can see here with the round white lock in the picture for both end panels and middle panels. Next slide. Here's some other fasteners that can be used in the industry, such as short Euro screws and undermount soft close slides. So again, just another quick snapshot. And let's go to the next slide, please. And same thing here again. We have our short Euro screws for hanging rods and accessories. There may be different vendors that provide closet components such as Hayfla, Richelieu, Home Depot, Amazon, and Haddock. Melly will touch base more on this later. But there is no shortage of closet cabinet hardware and accessories. So thank you very much. Here's Melly, and she'll be covering the design process.
Thank you, Sherwood. Now let's focus on how you can put a design together efficiently in order to create a unique space for your client. Questions in the discovery stage are key in the fact gathering process. This helps with your design layout ideas and understanding the client's problem areas. You want to know how many purses are coming into the space, how many pairs of shoes are coming into the space. Are they hanging a lot? Are they folding a lot? Sometimes in areas like the front entry, I've seen people want to put vacuum in that space or a broom or a cleaning products. In spare bedrooms, they may have the need for bins or suitcases. Understanding your inventory does affect your design. Also, wanting to find out if they have multiple closets that they want to bring into one space. And what it is that they're doing. Are they taking seasonal clothing away? Are they rotating their stuff? Are they keeping it all in one space? Understanding the inventory is the first step in planning your design. The next is the other factors you need to know is to be mindful of, my apologies, is in the little space is your obstructions. As every obstacle is going to affect your design layout. So let's talk about electrical panel, outlets, and heating vents, for example. Where these things are located in your space will affect where you place your panels, hanging sections, and shelving towers. So measuring these obstacles and placing them accordingly inside your rendering, whatever platform it is that you're using, will prevent issues for your installer at the job site on the day of the installation. So inventory and obstructions are 2 key factors in how you begin your design process. You're going to be competing for quotes, so designing within the industry standards will help you remain competitive. Front entry closet, spare bedroom closet, kids closet, master closet, back entry closet, any form of closet that you're going to start designing, typically you're working within that 14-inch depth and 84-inch height. Why are these numbers important? 84 inches in height allows for that double hanging to sit well. 14 inches depth will house folding and shoes, to sit inside the cubicles on the shelves and not hang over the edges. Plus, that 14-inch depth is a very helpful number anytime you want to bring accessories into the space. All the accessories that are available to you in the market are typically operating within that depth, which I will touch on a little bit later on. In the closet like this, or even in a wardrobe system like this, which is a standalone unit, you're going to be dealing by default with melamine or thoroughly fused laminate boxes. Typically, they will come flat packed, so your installer is going to be using a dowel and glue assembly to put it together. Sometimes companies may even put dovetail into these spaces, which will come already pre-finished for you. In a standalone unit like this, typically if your client has lots of stuff or they have no closet at all, they will dedicate a wall in their bedroom for such a unit. In order for you to house anything that's hanging on a rod behind closed doors, you're going to need that 24 inches in depth. Again, that 84 inches in depth height is good for a double hang, but depending on your ceiling height, you may take it higher and add cubicles above the rod should you wish. The other plus with a unit like this is that you're going to get deeper drawers, of course. You now have gathered the information and you know what depths to work with, and you know your inventory and your obstruction. So let's talk about some of the fun features of the design. How are you going to build each of these towers? What are you going to be adding into them? So let's talk about your hanging options. The next few slides are going to cover where your rod placements should be. We're going to focus on double hang and triple hang in this particular slide. Anytime you're placing your rods inside a closet, you're going to start with placing your bottom rod at 40 inches off the ground, your top rod at 80 inches off the ground. And for triple hang, typically this is put inside a kid's closet. You're going to do 28, 56, and 80. Again, that 14 deep, 84 height is why it comes into play with these dimensions. And keep in mind that 32 millimeter hole pattern that Sherman talked about earlier is perfect for adjustability. So over time, you can alter this perhaps to a medium or a long hang. You can alter this to more shelving, less hanging, however you wish. It gives you the ability to really play around with this design as your needs change and as your kids grow. For a medium hang and a long hang section, you're going to have slightly different dimensions. So 55 inches off the ground is a really good number for a medium hang, which allows you to perhaps do a couple of shelves above for shoes. And for a long hang or a single rod, you're going to work anywhere from that 65 to 68 inches off the ground. You have to remember that you're going to be working with reaching for the bottom of the hanger and not the rod itself. So if you have a vertically challenged client, that's definitely a good point to bring across to them. If you are working with medium hang or a bottom rod where you have openings above or a smaller long hang section, you could definitely add adjustable shelves to it as well to increase the cubicle spacing for more additional storage. Next, we're going to talk about my favorite topic, which is shoes. And definitely us ladies, we like to put them on display, we like to collect them, and we do not always wear all of them. And that is okay. So in a shoe section, we're going to have multiple options for design. You're going to have the ability to do a flat shelf, or you have the ability to do an angled shelf. A standard tower at 84 inches in height should house anywhere from 8 to 10 shelves for you. Now, if you choose to do angled shelves with shoe fences on the front, you're going to give up some of that shelving in order to get the aesthetic appeal of it. But when you're doing flat shelves or angled shelves, depending on the dimensions you're giving yourself, the inside dimension, that is, whether it's 18 inches wide or 24 inches wide, I've given you some numbers on the left side that highlight really how many pairs of shoes you can house in a tower. So let's assume it's a flat shelf tower and you're doing 18 inches wide, you can easily house 20 plus pairs of shoes into this section. That's quite a bit. And that takes the need to put things in the front entry closet, and it brings everything into one space. The heights for the shelves are going to, of course, vary as well. If you're using flat shoes or heels, you're going to put anywhere from 6 to 8 inches in height between your shelves. And if you're going to put boots in that section, you're going to work anywhere from 15 to 20 inches in spacing. I'm going to show you some images here just to give you a feel for that. you will see the boots are sitting in a much larger space. You could, of course, add these rods and get special hangers for your boots so they're not slouched over and sitting up straight. Definitely a shoe lover's favorite space in the closet. The next space we're going to talk about is drawers versus dressers. So of course, drawers in a closet add value to that closet because it's keeping all the clothes in one space and it's accessible. However, I have gone into many spaces where they have the room for a dresser in their closet in their bedroom, so they don't want any drawers, and that's one way for them to really help also reduce the cost of that closet project. The drawer banks, of course, you want to keep it at standard height of 36 inches, which is your standard counter height. However, I have gone as high as 48 inches in height to the very top of the top drawer. Even being vertically challenged myself, I'm able to see inside that no problem. Typically, the melamine drawer boxes that are going into the space, as I mentioned, are coming flat packed. It's going to be a glue and dowel assembly. You're able to get those really at any width and at any height. You're going to have your small, medium, large size drawers. The width, I don't recommend you exceed 36 inches. That's a really, really large drawer. And of course, your depth is going to be dictated by the slides that are available to you. So standard depths like 14, I believe it's 19 and 22. Whatever slides are available to you are the depths of your drawers that you're going to be able to function within. The next thing I want to talk about is the accessories that can come into that space to really give that space that boost that it needs. So valet rods, belt racks, scarf racks, jewelry trays, slide out pan racks, which is a popular one, hampers, another popular one, wire baskets, wardrobe lifts, swivel mirror. These are all accessories that are available to you. As I indicated earlier, that 14-inch depth is very important because it houses most of these accessories in it comfortably. However, you're able to get different widths, so that 18 wide, 24 wide, 30 wide, which are the numbers I shared with you for the shoe fences, are really your go-to numbers. I like the combination of adding drawers and accessories into one tower. It just looks visually a lot more appealing. It keeps things all together. As Sherwin mentioned, there's a lot of different vendors out there that you can get your accessories from. Hayflood.com for us is one of the popular ones. These are your the pull downs that I was telling you guys about. So if you're dealing with a higher ceiling, this is a perfect place to put all your seasonal clothes that you can just pull the handle. If you see that little image here, there's a handle coming down. You're pulling the handle, you're pulling the whole rod down, you're putting things on it, taking things off it, giving it a little tap, and it goes right back up and closes. So that is your accessories. So just to recap, we talked about inventory, we talked about obstruction, we talked about different rod placements and combinations of hanging that you can do, drawers versus dressers, accessories, shoes. Those are all that makes the design process really fun. So if you have the right amount of information gathered from the obstructions and the inventory, you can really give that space a really good facelift and make it a very functional and ergonomic space for your client. Now, Sherwin, it's up to you to take the next bit of the slides to talk about rendering tools, MSRP, and so on and so forth. So go ahead, Sherwin.
Thank you, Melly. Okay, so rendering tools. So owners and designers have many opportunities on designing closets themselves. There are different softwares available to design closets. Can you go to the next slide, please? Perfect. So there are many different types of software available to designers, such as Chief Architect Design Software, Space Designer 3D, AutoCAD, KCD, and 2020 Design Software. Just a few examples here. You can certainly contact other closet manufacturers who may already have their own designated in-house software. Software can be very costly, and recommending doing your due diligence. Some closet manufacturers have their own native software, as discussed, that you can rent or even purchase, but please be cautious as pricing may differ and you may have to do your own homework. In our experience, curb appeal is critical. Imagine having a 2D render versus a 3D render versus a 360 panoramic view. End users love the wow factor. So why not choose a software with those capabilities? We at Perfect Fit, for example, have a catalog with 2020 design spaces. And for us, it can take an average of 5 to 10 minutes to design a closet, depending on the complexity. Larger walk-in closets can be a little longer as well. Next page, please. So what are we looking at for our manufacturer suggested retail price or retail value? Next slide, please. The closet industry recognizes that it is up to the seller to add their own appropriate markup. But here are some examples of what this could look like on average. So for example, if we have a closet that costs approximately $3,000 US, and this could be a combination of several closets together, we can have a multiplier of 1.8, 1.9, 2.0, 2.1, or even 2.2. So again, these are kind of industry standards. Again, this is up to each seller depending on current overhead. A small dealer may have less overhead and therefore can use a smaller multiplier. If we use the middle of the road 2.0 multiplier, we can assume that $3,000 is toward costs, a portion to the installer, a portion to your sales staff, and a portion towards others such as marketing, and the remainder toward profit and freight for the owner. Since closets cost less, many sellers and dealers are offering their clients both kitchens and closets, where closets are offered as an added source of revenue. We can say this can be the, quote, burgers and french fries of the food industry. Kitchens being the burger and closets as the french fries. So why not offer your clients burgers and french fries, right? Next slide. So how do you pay your team? So what are examples in the closet industry for how to pay your team? So as discussed, your overhead can look like something like this. So examples of your overhead are, for example, your installer. Maybe it's 10 to 15% of the revenue or an hourly rate if they're a company installer. So how long does it take on average to install? So this is the question that we get asked quite a fair bit. Arguably, a project on average can take an installer one full day for a retail value of roughly $4,500. So this is variable, however, but it gives you an idea. Next type is you have to pay some sort of payment to your designer. Maybe it's 10% of the revenue or piecework, or if they're on salary. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so here is an example of a small reach-in closet and what to expect. And thank you very much. This picture has been brought to you by 2020 Software. That's what I used here. You can see that we have one module on the ground and 3 other modules that are suspended, and as well 4 drawers. So here's just one quick example. And next slide. And here is another example of a medium-sized closet. You can see all the modules are on the ground with a toe kick. You can also see in the corner a true corner unit, and you can use adjustable shelves. And at the bottom, you can see a hanging rod there. This design has a tilt-out laundry hamper on the left and a slide-out velvet jewelry tray, drawers, and more. And this project costs approximately $2,800 at cost US. And the next slide. And this is the final slide here for our pictures. This is a large size closet, and this got everything. This is kind of your dream closet. You know, you have everything from an island, bench seatings, corner modules, slanted shoe shelves, drawers, cabinet doors, clear glass insets, and so forth. What I really love about the closet world, and it has evolved quite a fair bit, is your edge banding. You can see in the far back and on the island, we have a 1.5 inch thick panel, because now a lot of closet companies like ourselves are now carrying 1.5 inch thick edge banding. So please make a note. So when you are doing your due diligence and you're trying to find a closet company, you know, make sure that you have all these options available to you.
Variety, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. On to you, Melanie.
Perfect. So That went a little quicker than I expected, so I'm going to take a few minutes just to recap a few things. So our focus today's presentation was to walk through an educational session for custom closets. We highlighted who your end users are, industry standard practices, along with common pricing models. We want to thank you guys for your time and hope that you found this session informational. Also, a big thank you again to Debbie and her team at NKBA. We want to wish you all the luck in your future endeavors. And again, as Sherwin said, we want to encourage you to do your due diligence and select a distributor that fits your needs. With that being said, if you guys have any questions, I'll get Debbie to kind of open that floor up for you guys and go from there.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mally and Sherwin. Yes, we do have some questions that have been coming in, so we'll just jump right into those. Thanks.
Absolutely.
So let's see. Yep, I'm going to go chronologically as they've been coming in. So can you do suspended systems in a 24-inch deep application?
Very good question. So due to weight restrictions, we wouldn't recommend it. If you use the solid back, then yes, you probably could. I would really talk to your closet manufacturer, maybe to Hedek or Hafele, and see if you can find an L bracket. As long as you have some sort of support system in place, yes, you can make it 24 inches wide, or 24 inches deep, but it's not really recommended. Just like kitchens, we have uppers usually 12 inches deep, lowers are 24 inches deep. So it would be the same principle.
I think you were also inquiring about putting a suspended system inside a 24-inch deep system. So you've already built a 24-inch deep system, but now you're adding the rail system inside of it for additional design purpose. I would need to get a little bit more detail, but I'd say the combination of two is possible. It just depends on how you're laying it out.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So I'm going to read this question here. Medium hang, long hang are mentioned on the hanging options slide. What are the different, I guess, height differences and definitions of those?
Melanie, do you want to go back to that? Oh, perfect.
I'm going to go, yeah, I'm just going to go back if that's okay. I'm just going to pull up that slide so you can see. We talked about, I'll show you both these slides. We talked about medium and long hang. So when we're talking about long hang, we're talking about dresses, longer dresses. Not everybody has a lot of these in their homes. So typically when you're doing a long hang section for the longer dresses, for those gowns, I designate around 18 inches in width for that section. Based on how much that client has when I take that inventory. A medium hang around that 50 and 55 inches is generally, we're talking about the shorter knee-length dresses, perhaps maybe pants when you hang up your pants, or even suit jackets. So if you're dealing with a taller client, a taller gentleman who has suits, I put their jackets on a medium hang above, and I put a slide-up pant rack below it for their pants to fold over.
Okay, so just getting back to that question, the same person, her name is Lynn, and she, about the suspended systems. So she was saying 24-inch deep hanging suspended, if that clarifies it.
Oh yes, it does definitely clarify that. So we do not do a suspended system at 24-inch deep at the moment. However, we are looking, and other manufacturers might as well. I don't want to focus just on perfect fit. You might have options of having that depth sitting on a rail system. The catch to that is it cannot be suspended. It would have to be sitting on the floor. When you're putting anything that deep on a rail, it will not work well. So the most you're going to get is maybe perhaps 16 inches in depth on a suspended system.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's see, we'll keep going. So what is the minimum space between the top of rod and bottom of shelf standard?
So you're typically spacing these around 40 inches from the ground to that rod, and you have 40 inches spacing between the two rods as well. So I'd say overall, you're looking at that 37, 38 inch mark when you're looking at the top spacing from the rod to the shelf, and you're looking at the same on the bottom as well. We're just giving you a little bit of extra space so that the clothes are not fully touching that shelf and the clothes are not fully touching the floor. Again, it really depends on your client, their height, their clothing. So that comes part of that inventory and capturing that information.
That's great, because this leads into the next question. Thank you. When designing each closet, are you already taking into consideration the aging in place or universal design?
Definitely. I consider a lot of things when I'm going into a space and designing it. Who's using it? How does it need to evolve? What's coming into it? All of those factors make a huge difference. We do have designs that you're going to repeat over and over and over. When you're doing a front entry, when you're doing a spare bedroom, when you're doing a kid's closet, perhaps, depending on the age, those are going to really be the same designs that you're going to be doing most of the time. The only time that you have that a little bit of more creative control is if you're coming into a master closet where you have multiple design walls. Universal, typically you're putting a shelving tower, you're putting drawer banks and hanging. It's always a universal design you're giving them. You're not really going in there and giving them too much of custom creation. So unless they say, I want a whole wall for shoes, which has happened, then that's a very custom design for that client. But you can definitely lay it out so it's a universal design.
Okay, thank you. And is the type of typical location for the rod off the back wall 12 inches to center, leaving a couple inches for the 14-inch depth? A lot of questions here about measurements.
Yes, the rod is placed closer to the front of the tower. Sherwin, do you have the exact dimensions for that offhand?
I don't have it offhand, but yes. So if you can imagine, a typical closet, like a reach-in closet in your home, is typically 24 inches deep. To cater, because from the one side for the actual hanging itself is 22 inches. So therefore it fits in a 22 to 24 inch reach-in closet. This system that you see in front of you is a 14-inch deep system. Therefore, if we cut that in half, we know that the hanging rod is closer to the front. Therefore, part of your clothes will be protruding out. And this helps minimize the cost.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So how much space should be planned in the aisles when you're including an island in a closet space?
I would recommend, take this one?
Yes, I recommend, because from shoulder to shoulder is 24 inches. So we recommend the absolute minimum is 28 inches. Like that's the absolute minimum to walk. That's from the front protrusion of the hanging item to the island.
To the start of the island, so 2 feet.
Okay. Let's see.
Because sorry, just to touch on that, sometimes when you do have drawers inside that island, also those drawers need to open. So depending on the depth you're putting into that island, typically 14 inches deep drawers, they're going to be full extension drawers as well. So you want to be able to have that space to walk, function with your hanging, and function with the drawers somewhat open.
Okay, so here's another question about dimensions again, just to understand the space. So if you have doors on a 24-inch cabinet, is that overlaid door? Basically, what is the minimum space you need inside the cabinet from back panel to back of door? A garment being about 18 inches from end of hanger. I'm not sure if that's making sense to you either.
It's okay. So you're talking about inside a wardrobe unit in itself. When we are designing a standalone unit, we are putting a true 24-inch inside that unit. So the panels that we are using are sitting at that 24-inch depth. If you are adding back paneling to the standalone unit, which you do not need to with the closet components, you're putting the back paneling to sit on the outside of those gables. You're not putting the panels on the inside of the closet, if that makes sense. So we use the full true 24 inches, especially also due to the rod placement. You need that spacing for the clothes to hang comfortably.
Okay, so that's great to know. So that leads me to this. So is there a cheat sheet that explains the standard sizes per inventory items? As an example, how many hangers per section, etc.?
I don't have the hanger count down depending on the sections because a lot of this custom closet is custom. However, I do have many cheat sheets that I could share should you guys wish to know really how to lay out that design, how to count for that inventory. So yes, we do have cheat sheets that we share with our dealers.
Okay.
Or if you guys like, I can definitely do that for you so we can go more into that. If you wish, you can just reach out to me directly. Debbie can definitely share that information and we can go from there.
Oh yeah, I think that's what I'll do when I send out the recording. We'll send out information and ways to contact you and Sherwin, okay?
Perfect.
And then that way we can share all that data. That's great data. Let's see, someone said, I may have missed this, but are the drawers full extension?
You did not miss it. I forgot to mention it. That's a good catch. And yes, the way we build our drawers internally, we do undermount soft close slides for either the melamine drawer boxes or the dovetail drawer boxes, and they are full extension, yes.
Okay, let's see. There's a question here about, are the kids hanging their own height hangers, I guess, or hang the way it hangs in the closet, their own height, or does that have an approximate amount? So I think they're talking about children's closets.
In the kids' closet, you're typically designing with a triple hang. Most parents have the intentions to have, of course, self-sufficient little humans, right? So the lower hangs are typically, depending on your height of your child, of course, and the age. The lower and the middle are the dimensions that you see are sufficient for a child to do that on their own. And of course, as you get higher, that's more of the parent's role. But as your child gets older, this can take a completely different configuration as well. Remembering that hole patterns on the side allow it for you to easily adjust this to where you need it to be. However, as standard, these are the dimensions that we use for that triple hang.
Okay. Then there's a question here about the floating gables that are hung from the wall. I think that was early on in the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for going back and looking, because sometimes the
No
visuals help.
problem.
But not 19, please.
Pardon me?
Melly, if you can go to page 19, please.
Oh, my apologies. Yes.
Or sorry, 18. Okay, so this is how it gets floated on. And I can certainly explain this again. So the old system, they used the old French cleat system. Now, as companies have evolved over the last decade, people are now using this type of system. And I'll explain this once again. So the wall module is a hanging hardware. On the right-hand side are all the fasteners needed to suspend it off the floor. We have your hanging rail on, you can see here that's got pre-drilled holes. Your installer will have to find the wooden stud. On the right of it is the cover for it to hide it. Below that, we have the hanging hardware, which is the arm. You can see the arm protrusion closer to the right-hand side and in the middle of that illustration. And then on the right is the hanging hardware cover for it, and then the two fasteners. Now, how this system works is that the arm is going to attach onto the hanging rail, and there are going to be two adjustment screws. The adjustment screw in the bottom moves the arm up and down to ensure that the system is level. The adjustment screw on the left-hand side, which is on the back of it, will move the arm forward and backward. And this will help ensure that if there's any bowing on the drywall, it will accommodate that. So there'll be less scribing on site.
Okay.
So there are, majority of closet companies will start using this. They all vary, but they all have the similar practices.
Thank you, Sherwin. That was a good explanation. Appreciate that. So I'm just going to keep rolling because there's lots of questions here.
We assumed it would be, so it's a good thing I went fast.
So when we were talking about the shoe shelves before, what would you say is the standard spacing between the shoe shelves?
It's currently set at 7 to 8 inches.
Yeah, for flat shoes, you could for flat shoes you could go 6 inches. If you're doing heels and anything with a platform, that's 7 to 8, or even let's say 8 inches is a really good healthy number. So it's not touching the shoes. The shelf is not touching the shoes. But if you're doing boots, as you know, ladies, boots can be really fluctuating in height. So typically my go-to number for the boots were that 15 to 20 inches of open space.
Okay, great, thanks. So now I'm going to get into a couple of questions about like ventilation and lighting and things like that. And then we're going to go back to some other things about prices. So do you have any type of ventilation system available as part of a kit?
The ventilation system. So right now, if you go back to any of the actual slides, Melanie, any of the illustrations, people always ask, well, what if we actually have a vent, a register, and you're building over the register? So we get that question asked quite a bit. So what your installer will have to do, just pick anything. What your installer will have to do is cut and buy an actual narrow register from the local hardware store, and you can get flexible venting, and you would put the front of the register in front of the actual toe kick.
You would cut out the toe kick and put the vent in front to allow for the air circulation. Yes.
That's correct, the register, and pick a narrow register.
We ourselves do not have a kit at the moment. That is a workaround solution that our dealers do and we have done. So cutting out the toe kick and putting that heating vent on the front to allow for circulation, or again, using a suspended system over that heating ventilation so that you're just putting clothes that are hanging on top of it so that the airflow is still there.
Okay, thank you for that. That's good to know. And it's a great question. So suggesting a type of lighting system and or location of lighting, and also can you address lighted rods and electrical requirements? So there's two different things going on there.
Lighting does,
Go ahead, Mike.
Sharon, why don't you lead with this one? Because you've done this a little bit more than me. And
you know what, that is a separate entity on its own. It's quite a fair bit of talking to it, but there are manufacturers such as Hayfla, where you do have lighted closet rods. So for example, what happens, it's the same type of closet rod, but underneath at the bottom of the closet rod, it's hollow and it's bare. And what you'll do is you'll buy LED lighting strips and you put those lighting strips right inside the closet rod. And then you would actually run the actual cord, inside the back of the gable onto the drywall. And maybe you can hide the driver underneath the toe kick or on the very top of the module and maybe put crown molding to hide it. You can certainly add puck lights and so forth, but the electrical system in itself is very complex because you have drivers, you have extensions and so forth. But yes, a lot of companies such as ourselves do lighting packages. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover there, but it really, you're running the wires either down or up your closet. So how you want to hide it, I find it's easier to hide if you're using puck lights to be up top. If you're using rods and stuff, you got to be able to pull that wiring down and hide everything as best as you can. But lighting is, in the closet world, does come up, especially for the master closet. So it's definitely worth exploring. That on itself, Debbie, if you're ever looking for another session idea, is a whole training course, which I know someone internally that would be able to do that for you guys. So that I'll leave it with that for now.
Okay. And then there was a comment here about when we were talking about LED tape. I think Sherwin brought that up. And this person says, once you add the LED tape, the shelf is not adjustable. I would think that would be true. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, once it's set in place, you don't want to have the customer do it or the end user do it. So once it's set in place, it's set in place. Or they can, give you a call back and start moving it around for them.
Okay, good. There's so many questions here, so I'm just going to keep going because we do have the time. So let's keep going. So how do you typically handle corners? I saw a corner cabinet in the photo with darker wood closet sample. What are some ways to handle corners?
So generally, when you're designing a corners unit, you do need space for it. So master closets are great. Believe it or not, in a pantry, they're very much commonly used, specifically because of the adjustability in those radius shelves inside the corner unit. So in this particular design, we could do any kind of custom corner unit, but we try to stick with specific dimensions so that you have a proper opening. Generally, this panel will sit at 30 inches off the corner wall. This panel will sit another 30 inches off the corner wall, and that's how the system gets built. So you do need quite a bit of space for it. However, that being said, we can do custom as long as we're factoring your opening and making sure that this client is going to have a substantial space, at least let's say 10 inches, to be able to reach in there and get things out depending on what they're housing inside. But with a 30 inch on either side for the panels, you're giving them a pretty decent opening here. You're going to look at least an 18-inch opening here so that it's a functional space for them.
Okay, good. And thank you for that. That's a great explanation. And then there was just another comment here that someone wanted to add about the lighting situation. So this person is in Minnesota and she says halogen is never allowed in the closet because it's too hot. Fluorescent is always recommended. So I just thought I'd put that out.
That's great. Thank you.
And then let's see, there was one here about, I think it was the last closet shown with the island. It says, do you have the size of the last closet shown with the island? Very nice, they said.
So yes, this is the actual cost, $8,700 US.
What size is it, Sherwin? Do we know? Do we remember?
No, not off my hand.
It's fairly. So this kind of closet is when a client takes a room once their kids have moved out, and they turn that into their dream space, and they turn a room, if they have the luxury to do that, into a closet. I've done this many of times for clients where I've taken a room and I've designed something like this for them.
Okay, good. So let's just clarify because people are asking about the pricing. And oh, looks like Sherwin's going to answer that one about the
Yes,
pricing. So go
correct.
right ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm going to type it in here. I just paused. But yes, those prices are the actual cost. So Melly, let's go ahead and go ahead to 39, 40, and 41, please. So this is a small order. So this is an approximate of $554 cost. So
What you see. So that includes drawer boxes, Sherwin?
that's correct. Includes our drawer boxes, and this is dovetailed. And you can see our two suspended systems on the right, one suspended system on the left, and a full tall system in the middle. So we gave it the minimalist look. On page 41, we can see this is a medium-sized closet and what to expect on what it would cost. Now, people always ask me, their budget, if their budget is only, like $10,000 or $5,000, like, how can we make this work? Well, you can make it work by using less material. Instead of having drawer boxes, you can actually add just adjustable shelves. Instead of having a slanted shoe fence and a slanted shelf for your shoes, maybe have flat shelves. So there's small ways when you're designing a closet that you can cut corners and have a minimalist look and still have the efficiency.
Because typically, as a designer, you're controlling that space. So how you space out your shelves, how you space out your hanging, all of that, no matter how messy your end consumer is, because you've given them a very dedicated space for those items, they can do their best to make it look messy. I mean, if they don't fold it and throw it in, yes, that's possible. But for most part, it's going to look housed, it's going to look organized, and it's going to look like it's got a home for it.
I like that idea that you both gave some information about how, cutting corners, although the client may not really recognize that, but at least it alters the price a bit. That was really good information to share. And then I think Sherwin had pulled that one other question that was out there about being a dealer.
Yeah, and that's something, if anyone's interested, again, this was more for education, not promotion.
Right.
If you're interested and you want to talk to us, we're very transparent. We would love to help you out, even if it means try and find someone in your area for you. We'll give you some feedback as to how to look for a distributor. But if you have questions, info@perfectfitcanada.com is your best bet to get started with us.
That's great. And I will also put that into the follow-up email that I send with the recording and everything. I'll put all, your email address and the company information as well. So
There are
go
There
ahead.
are, just to touch on that real quickly, I know time is an essence. There are ways to do this for your end users without really breaking the bank. So if you go to a franchisor and become a franchisee, you got to get everything from one place. If you go to a distribution company, you have a bit more play where you can say, okay, can I get my core product from you, but I have local suppliers where I can get my nuts and bolts and slides from, or I have somebody who I can get my drawer boxes from. There's flexibility there so that you can perhaps reduce that freight cost and ways to get your hands on these items that you need, and have the ability to increase your profit margin.
Well, this has been great. I don't see any further questions. A lot of people are saying thank you. You've both been very knowledgeable, and I have to agree. And I know for some people that have been writing in here that closets has always been a bit of a puzzle to them as to how they can, incorporate that into design. So this has been so very, very helpful. Really appreciate it, Molly and Sherwin.
Our pleasure.
And of course, I want to thank Hedek once more for sponsoring today's session and all of our webinars this month, and all of you out there in our audience for being with us today. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.